It is strange how life can feel both fragile and enduring at the same time. Losing my mother taught me lessons I could not have learned any other way. Lessons that seeped into every fiber of my being. I had spent years assuming that love was a given, that those who cared for you would always be present, that life could be predictable if you tried hard enough. But grief shattered those assumptions, leaving me to confront a reality that was neither fair nor understandable. The first months were agony. The first years a haze of absence and adjustment. And yet, as I look back now, I see that every tear, every pang of longing, every sleepless night was a part of a profound education in what it means to love, to live, and to grow beyond loss. The first takeaway is the undeniable truth that grief is transformative. It changes not only how we see the world, but how we see ourselves. Before my mother died, I thought I understood strength. I thought I understood resilience. I had witnessed her calm and unwavering nature and assumed that I too could embody such fortitude. But facing her absence forced me to confront the depths of my vulnerability, the intensity of my attachment, and the raw fragility of human life. I discovered reserves of courage I had never recognized. I learned to navigate moments of despair without losing sight of the potential for renewal. Grief in this sense was not just pain, it was a teacher demanding that I confront who I was, what I valued, and how I could carry her love forward into a world that now seemed immeasurably larger, more complex, and far less predictable. The second lesson I carry is about the complexity and resilience of human connection. Losing my mother exposed the delicate, interwoven nature of relationships. Some friends withdrew when they did not know how to respond. Some family members clashed as we struggled to navigate our grief together. I learned that connection is not guaranteed, that it requires care, attentiveness, and sometimes courageous confrontation of difficult truths. Yet I also discovered that love persists even when absence seems absolute. Small acts, a friend sitting silently with me, a neighbor delivering food, a relative who simply held my hand revealed that compassion, empathy, and presence transcend verbal expression. These moments became lifelines, subtle reminders that we are not alone, even when grief convinces us otherwise. And this lesson extends beyond loss. It is a universal truth about the importance of emotional investment, community, and human solidarity in modern life. The third takeaway is perhaps the hardest. Learning to love again is not betrayal. It is continuation. Initially, I feared that opening my heart to others, whether in friendship or romance, would dishonor her memory. I worried that joy in the present would diminish the significance of the past. But slowly, I realized that love is not finite. It is expansive, capable of encompassing absence and presence simultaneously. Loving again does not erase what was lost. It honors it, builds upon it, and allows the heart to function in ways grief alone cannot sustain. To love after loss is an act of courage, yes, but it is also an affirmation of life's continuity, a testament to the human capacity to carry memory forward without being paralyzed by it. Reflection, too, has taught me that life's unpredictability demands patience and awareness. We live in a society that values efficiency, productivity, and visible strength. Emotional processes, mourning, and vulnerability are often sidelined, pushed into private corners where they are expected to remain contained. Yet grief is not linear, and healing cannot be forced. In navigating loss, I learned to embrace patience with myself, with others, and with life's uncharted rhythms. I allowed myself to feel, to stumble, to fall, to question, and gradually, to rise. The modern world rarely affords such patience, but grief insists upon it, teaching us that emotional resilience is built not in moments of perfection, but in the repeated acts of persistence, reflection, and self-compassion. One of the most profound realizations I have carried is the universality of grief. While my story is intensely personal, it mirrors countless others. The loss of a parent, a partner, a friend, or a mentor evoke similar emotional turbulence across cultures, societies, and generations. Modern life complicates this experience with social expectations, economic pressures, and cultural norms that often demand performance over authenticity. Yet the human heart is remarkably adaptable. In every context, grief invites reflection, empathy, and the deepening of our capacity to connect. Understanding this universality not only helped me normalize my own experience, but also cultivated a broader sense of empathy for others navigating the invisible terrain of loss. I have also come to understand that grief does not have a set timetable. Society often implies that mourning has a beginning and an end, that after a prescribed period, one must resume normal life. But in reality, grief is a process, not a schedule. My mother's absence continues to shape my thoughts, my decisions, and my emotional landscape, even years later. There are moments of sudden recollection, a scent, a phrase, a sound that pull me back into the intensity of the loss. Yet these moments are not setbacks. They are reminders of connection, of memory, and of the enduring presence of love that has shaped who I am. Grief is cyclical, layered, and ongoing, and learning to live with it, rather than fight it, has been one of the most difficult and illuminating lessons of all. Another layer of reflection is the power of intentionality in rebuilding life after loss. Grief can be overwhelming, paralyzing, and all-consuming. Without deliberate action, it can dominate every thought, every decision, every moment. I discovered that intentionality, choosing to journal, to connect with friends, to explore new relationships, to engage with the world, was essential to healing. Each conscious act of living fully, however small, was an act of defiance against the paralyzing weight of absence. It was also an affirmation that love, memory, and joy are not mutually exclusive. By choosing to engage with life thoughtfully, I honored my mother while simultaneously claiming my own path forward. This reflection naturally extends to the societal implications of grief. We often overlook the need for structural support for those experiencing loss. Accessible mental health services, compassionate workplace policies, and cultural frameworks that validate ongoing mourning. My own journey highlighted how essential these systems are for healing and adaptation. While personal resilience is critical, society plays an undeniable role in shaping our capacity to grieve, recover, and reconnect. When structures fail, individuals are forced to navigate complex emotional terrain alone, amplifying isolation and suffering. Recognizing this broader reality has motivated me to advocate for compassion, understanding, and reform in spaces where grief is often minimized or ignored. There is also a profound lesson about memory and narrative. Memory is not static. It is a living, breathing force that shapes identity, choices, and emotional patterns. Losing my mother forced me to reconstruct her presence in my life through stories, reflections, and repeated recollection. I realized that memory itself can be a source of love, strength, and guidance. By intentionally recalling lessons, values, and shared experiences, I preserved her influence while allowing myself to move forward. Memory, in this sense, is not a trap but a tool, a way to maintain connection across absence, to integrate love into every future decision, and to allow presence to coexist with loss. Another insight concerns the intersection of grief and societal expectations around emotional expression. Modern culture often encourages detachment, emotional restraint, or superficial performance of moving on. My own process revealed that authentic engagement with grief, allowing pain, reflection, and vulnerability, is essential for sustainable healing. Emotional honesty, both with oneself and with others, creates space for genuine connection and prevents long-term suppression of feelings that can manifest as anxiety, depression, or relational difficulties. Grief is not a weakness. It is evidence of love, attachment, and the depth of human emotional capacity. Recognizing this truth transformed my perspective on vulnerability, teaching me that courage is not absence of fear, but willingness to feel deeply despite it. Perhaps the most subtle, yet enduring lesson I have carried is the balance between holding on and letting go. Loving again after profound loss does not mean forgetting. It means learning to carry someone as presence in your heart while simultaneously creating space for new experiences, relationships, and joys. It requires discernment, patience, and compassion. I learned to allow myself to grieve fully, to honor my mother's memory, and to embrace life's possibilities without guilt or fear. This delicate equilibrium between past and present, absence and presence, sorrow and joy, is perhaps the most difficult yet rewarding aspect of navigating love after loss. From this journey emerge several actionable takeaways for anyone facing similar experiences. First, allow grief to unfold naturally. Suppression prolongs pain. Authentic engagement facilitates growth. Second, cultivate intentionality in connecting with others. Relationships, friendships, and social bonds provide vital support, even in unexpected ways. Third, recognize that love is expansive. Opening your heart after loss is not a betrayal, but a continuation of what has been learned and cherished. These lessons, while personal, are universally applicable, transcending culture, gender, and circumstance. Finally, there is a broader reflection on the human condition itself. Loss is inevitable. Mortality is universal. The fragility of life, while terrifying, also magnifies its beauty. To experience grief is to experience the depth of connection, the value of empathy, and the preciousness of love. Society often emphasizes productivity, achievement, and outward success, but the most profound truths are revealed in these moments of vulnerability and reflection. By embracing grief as a teacher rather than a punishment, we cultivate resilience, wisdom, and a capacity for love that extends beyond the boundaries of individual experience. In the end, my journey is not only about losing my mother and learning to love again. It is about embracing the complexity of human emotion, acknowledging the inevitability of pain, and recognizing the extraordinary potential for growth, connection, and renewal that lies within loss. I have learned that grief is not a detour. It is a path. It is a road that winds through despair, memory, and reflection, ultimately leading to a deeper understanding of what it means to live, to love, and to carry forward the legacy of those we have lost. So, to anyone listening, watching, or reading this story, I offer this subtle call to action. Allow yourself to feel, to remember, to grieve, and to love fully. Honor the memories of those who have shaped you, while embracing the opportunities to cultivate new connections and experiences. Seek compassion for yourself, for others, and for the invisible struggles that everyone carries. And remember, even in the shadow of profound loss, love remains. It transforms, expands, and ultimately teaches us that life, in all its beauty and tragedy, is worth engaging with wholly, openly, and courageously.